And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the ESL Arena in Katowice. We are tracking through our last day of games, obviously just as crucial as the last days before us. Again, it's last chance saloon for all of these two teams on 1 win and 2 losses. So every game, every round, every second means everything. This next matchup is going to be an interesting one as well. Let's not waste too much time and bring them up here, of course, representing from the CIS region. They represented at the last major. They want to go 2 in a row. Let's welcome FlipSid3. Started things off quite nicely against Renegades, dispatching them with relative ease. It was all about World Edit and Blade on that Mirage map. A couple moments of uncertainty, I guess. We saw some weird rotations, but they got through anyway. But yesterday, a little bit tough for them as Optic took them to task on the map of Train. We saw FlipSid trying to play, everyone's talked about them being like a mini Na'Vi. They like to play passive, but they perhaps were too passive on that A side. They let Optic walk in, lock it down, and they couldn't establish control after the fact. But they're here to go to the major. They want another one. Their last one, some disappointing results for them, of course, and their opponent is one that they have faced before. The only reason FlipSid3 got to the major in the first place was by beating these opponents in that last qualifying game for Columbus. Let's welcome to the stage for their second shot at a major, it's Immortals! And I asked Zach when I had an interview with him, and I said, who are you? Who is Immortals? And he said, we are passion, we are love of the game, and we are drive to win. And they showed us that, of course, in that last game yesterday. They thrashed Empire, they sent them home, but their first 2 games were quite difficult, of course. Remember, going up against Envy right at the start, and we saw a very, very strong Envy side that pretty much took them to task as well. It was a 16-6. And then the next one, of course, up against Tyloo. It hasn't been an easy draw so far for the Brazilians, but they're here to make their mark on the world. They're here to raise the flag for Brazil, and they're here to get to that $1 million major. And nothing, from what I can tell, is going to stop them. But perhaps FlipSid have a couple tricks up their sleeves, to turn this one on its head. Let's pass it now over towards the desk to break into this one head first.
Thanks very much, Mitch. We're going to do our very best. It is going to be a little bit of a repeat match. And I want to start this segment by actually taking an opportunity to talk and focus on Immortals, because I have started the previous 2 games, but kind of framing them as a bit of a favorite versus Tyloo, maybe even Envy considering their form, and we'd start with this kind of hypey, they're not in leagues, but they're so good, oh my god, the passion, the fire, all of this kind of discussion. But I want to start this discussion somewhere else. I've got Halvor and Lauren joining me to talk about it. Can we put where this hype has come from into context? Like, if you actually look at the results, I was just quickly scrolling through where they're at, and they've conceded games against Optic in the minor twice. They've struggled to make anything happen here, currently losing to Tyloo in quite a convincing fashion. Where does this belief in the Brazilians come from, you guys?
It's a mixture. Obviously, the fact that they have a strong link with Luminosity, who kind of rose from nothing to become the best team in the world. That's at a certain point, that builds hope for a lot of people. They see that basically, that the work they can put in together is going to obviously benefit Immortals greatly. And it's also the fact that when they lose, when they've been to a couple of the international tournaments they've gone to, they've actually had pretty strong showings, even though it hasn't necessarily resulted in a win.
Right.
And we also saw them at DreamHack Austin. Nobody expected them to beat Luminosity, but they managed to beat everyone else. So I think that's the justification behind the hype for that Brazilian team. But obviously, they do have their struggles. They're not as consistent as, I guess, a lot of people think they are.
Yeah, I think this also falls back to the case of they became extremely good when people weren't necessarily looking directly at them. I think the picks and bans, or at least the map pools against them, worked in their favor sometimes. Teams underestimating them, not paying enough dividends throughout the group stages. When it got to the playoffs in tournaments, they're like, oh, well, maybe we should have paid more attention, because Cobble was always often left in. You saw the effect that that can have against extremely good teams, and you saw Phelps not too long ago, of course, having that outstanding matchup on it as well. So I think people now starting to pay more attention to them as a contestant. Right. Actually has made it a lot harder for them to kind of come through under the radar here.
And if we put it into kind of context, you also talk about FlipSid and the last time these two teams met, right? FlipSid understandably on paper, Black and White are coming in as the favourites. They've done it in a best of 3. In fact, they did it in a 2-0 fashion, and now you can see them, the boys, of course, with a new face, Waylander, right there on your screens with a very, very rugged look. I'm liking it. Obviously, that time in the army has done something to him, and he's now come in as a bit of a soldier, a trooper. What have you got for us, though, Vendetta, on arguably the favourite in this one?
Well, FlipSid, as you mentioned, did actually beat the exact same lineup that they're going up against in the MLG qualifier. They have a bit of a different makeup on right now. Waylander in for Bondic. But in the end, for me, it's going to be a bit of an echo of what we said with regarding FlipSid. If they're going to win this, it's going to have to be on World Edit. Nato has been adamant about pointing out that Waylander has the potential to be an amazing star player for this team, but for me, it's still going to be on World Edit's shoulder. And we saw what happened when he went pretty much invisible versus Optic on Train.
Yeah.
That didn't really matter. Sure, Waylander picked up, I think he went 1-for-1 in terms of KD,
it
but
wasn't under par massively, but it wasn't the impact that we know. But I want to highlight as well another player who definitely had issues then was Markelov. First time we've really seen that double AWP coming out consistently for them, and it paid off absolutely nothing. It was a terrible investment in the end, which was quite surprising because normally they're a very tactically minded team, incredibly very self-aware. But that time they got completely outdone by default A's coming in every single time from Optic and no adaptation. You saw the downside of what FlipSid can be in that game, but you've also seen their strength in others. So it's very much which FlipSid do we see today?
And I mean, let's not forget, FlipSid have been to every single major. Immortals haven't been to one. And then you also realize that not only that, their biggest achievement was winning CEVO. You've got a team that's been to every major just to really, hammer that home. This is definitely something for Immortals to consider, and you do see that fire, that passion. I mean, in the interview, they did make it abundantly clear that this is something that they want to kind of justify all of this hype surrounding them.
Well, yeah, to add to that, it's hard to not look at this team and see that sort of power, which I think lends back to your original point that actually people start believing in it. Of course, they want to. They love a story like that. But
Absolutely.
Then if the results don't come through in the end, there's going to be an issue. And that got reflected in players like Bolt. They lost out on Peacemaker. He's starting to burden more of the issue. And you're seeing that reflected in a lack of performance. A bit up and down, a little hit and miss. Some games he was perfectly there. He was adequate. But it wasn't the guy that we've seen before. So again, a lot of it, question marks around how they're coming into this one and how they're going to cope coming up against a team who's incredibly well structured and a veteran at this sort of point.
Now let's talk maps as well. It's a very good point as well regarding their coach, because since the departure of Peacemaker, we have seen a decline in their current form.
Yeah.
However, what have you got for me in the vetoes?
well, Dust 2 being taken out by F3 or FlipSid, that's kind of the way they've gone about it ever since we started. Overpass being the same thing for Immortals. Nuke is a map that none of them really play, so not surprising to see that go out as well. Both of these teams actually love playing Cobblestone.
I'm glad to see that they're coming out FlipSid.
Yeah.
If it's a respect ban towards what we've
and
seen,
I think that's what it
I'm
is.
glad, because that often went under the radar and it always surprised me. So seeing that gone, I'm hoping we get to see almost maybe a train coming out. That'd be lovely. Hopefully
Yeah.
FlipSid adjust, make up for those issues they previously had, and we've got a real good game on that map.
Absolutely, and Cash was one of the maps that they actually beat Tempos, or the now Immortals
Nice.
team
Yeah.
on previously at the MLG qualifier. The second map they won was Train, but that was not the double opping FlipSid that beat them by any means, and that was World Edit going off on both maps. And for me, it comes down to that. If FlipSid is going to have a shot at winning, he needs to outdo Henny.
By he, World Edit. World Edit versus
Yeah.
Henny. Or Hen 1, if we want to be those guys. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's happened. Guys, it's now Henny. That is the official. I'm sorry.
just done.
We can't do N1 anymore. But yeah, so now it comes down to Train. We have that locked in. World Edit, I mean, we're putting a lot of pressure on one man. Where does the pressure go in the form of Immortals? You've touched on Bolt and his in-game leadership. Train, very strat heavy, especially on that T side.
I agree, but for me, it's also Phelps, who, when he has a big game, it opens up incredible opportunities that were found actually against FlipSid when you looked at Optic through, I think it was Nafly working down Ivy constantly, pushing the likes of Markelov and opening up that side to even those defaults coming even stronger. So if you can see Phelps finding a lot of success, I think we'll see that reflected in the scoreline. But as said, that was Markelov having a bad day. So if Markelov has a good day, you could see something very different here, and I'm so ready to see this game.
In terms of new blood as well, we touched on Waylander. We rarely do have an opportunity to discuss Shara. It was kind of someone that turned up. I feel like it's safe to say we underestimated him as he arrived, and he kind of justifiably so with his early results in the Pro League. Is there too many observations to make about this player? I mean, he's playing within some very historical names in CS. They're now one game away from getting closer to that major. I mean, what is there to say about Shara?
Well,
Good question.
You can say a fair bit of things, but he's not going to be the difference maker in that sense. What he's going to do is, well, basically play within the confines of the team. He's going to do whatever Blade tells him to do, and that's valuable in itself, but it's not necessarily going to show up on a scoreboard. So he might get a lot of flack simply from people watching because it doesn't seem like he's contributing in a way that they would have liked to see him. But for Blade to actually have someone who can follow you blindly at any given time, that's almost invaluable.
It sounds like we're kind of framing it like he's almost just making up the numbers, a bit of a filler.
But in a certain sense, he is. And that's not to take away that he can't actually do
frag,
frag from round to round, but he's never going to be called upon as the guy to either find the opening pick or be the one to be left alone in clutch situations, that type of thing, because that's going to be on other players because they have better suited ones for it.
And in contrast, I don't think, could you find me a Shara within Immortals?
I guess Lucas or Showtime would
I
have to be
guess.
the ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
Showtime for me has maybe a higher skill ceiling that he sometimes reaches more often. But yeah, it's hard to find it because normally the others kind of bolster the numbers well enough that you don't have to look at them in that sense, unless they just flat out lose and you look at other reasons.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think Shara is a massive issue for for FlipSid. The one thing I'm looking at is how they approach their CT side here, because that's the thing that just terrified me before. So I'm hoping. Oh, I see a restart.
Yeah, me too.
So let's talk about that CT side.
Yeah, really get into depth with that one.
The thing that I think frustrated a lot of people watching as well was just the fundamental flaws in how they approached it, which you don't often see, and the lack of adaptation, the lack of adaptation, excuse me, or the lack of aggression coming through as well, which we saw so consistently now on train that you get the B halls pushing down up towards the top of B, always pressuring some part of the map, because otherwise you're kind of at the whim of the T side, which Optic just abused time and time again, and the retakes weren't coming out from FlipSid. So that's where my attention's going to be on.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing for me really, because we were talking about it in the pregame before FlipSid played Optic, the fact that Optic had played Fluffy Gangsters had issues because they were so passive in Yard. So you're thinking to yourself, well, such a well-versed leader as Blade, surely he'll have seen that, recognized the problem, and found at least one ID that might work against it. But instead, they show up in very much the same manner as Fluffy Gangsters did, very passive and not really taking it to Optic at all, letting them freely roam around the map, and they can't do that. You have to put on pressure on the T side, otherwise it's going to be way too easy to execute with all the smokes that you have that can block out vision and basically create retake situations which is really hard to actually go through with the CT on, especially the outer bomb site.
And that kind of leads nicely into the discussion surrounding the map itself. Train, it's kind of undergone many a change and many a shift across the entirety of Counter-Strike, and primarily, however, what is it that has made this map suddenly a whole lot more even? I remember way back when we come into train, we would frame it as you get 3 rounds, 4 rounds on your opening side. You've actually done a pretty damn good job because of the CT bias. That's shifted to like 8-7 almost these days. What happened?
Well, there's a myriad of things. If you just want to go talk about the CS:GO versions of it,
sure.
Obviously, changing up. Well, first off, where the bomb spot is helps a lot. You've had the removal of some trains swapped around actually where what kind of trains are where on the various bomb sites, but it's also the fact that teams just figure out how to play better on a map as the longer it's in a map pool, because you experiment more with it, and you just figure out with time what works and what doesn't. Because you could see like already when the train first came out, you had Hellraisers pretty much uses Anders Theorycraft smokes as their go-to strat for the longest time, but that's now become a bit of a default thing you do, but now you've built things on top of that, so you're not just a one-trick pony. And obviously that's going to skew the results in the end. And I think we're going to see something similar happening with Nuke the more we see of it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And even kind of going into, I guess, more of a niche thing, Na'Vi started to make that T-side look even stronger for themselves, which was kind of curious because they really just rewrote the map. They used to do kind of a 3-2 weird split using Ivy coming all the way around towards B on the T side, which is through CT spawn. And, when teams really throw themselves into these maps, you do start seeing things turning around and starting to find new aspects towards it. But I wouldn't say this is still, the most T or CT-sided map. I think it's very defined by the teams themselves.
Yeah, it does come a lot down to teams' playstyle and how they, just simply how good they are on the map, because it can vary very much. And that's a pretty dominant knife round from FlipSid.
Well, you know what my analysis tells me now?
FlipSid have already won it.
FlipSid have already won. There's no point playing the map. I've already told you guys it's going to be a FlipSid win, but that's not what we really care about. We care about these people over here. So tell me now, what are your predictions? Halvor, what have you got for me? Now, you've seen the knife round. Of course, that's very important. FlipSid versus Immortals.
I'm actually going to go against my gut feeling. I'm going to go with my head here and say FlipSid.
As opposed to that heart that's telling you the Brazilians.
Exactly.
I'll go with the heart. I'll go Immortals, just to play advocate.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming Blade has sorted out the errors that was blatantly obvious versus Optic on their CT side, and if they can get that under wraps, I think they have a pretty good shot at actually going through here.
And I think we're going to see very quickly what sort of version of this game we're going to see. Will it be the flip side of old or not? I think that's going to be very quick and very apparent. So I'm going to say Immortals just because, to play devil's advocate here for the sake of it.
Well, I mean, there is truly so much on the line. One game of Counter-Strike, one map, and potentially 30 or more rounds over on a train, and it does determine that step towards the major. Immortals and FlipSid are both on death's door. You can see already that they have conceded 2 losses, and so should they lose this game on train, the Brazilians, who have got so much to prove and so much riding on this, wanting to join their Brazilian brothers over in Cologne next month, it does all come into one game of Counter-Strike. There's a whole lot of fire and passion, but we'll see if it can be extinguished by the ever-consistent FlipSid. Your casters are ready for this one, and it is going to be spectacular, so strap yourself in for some fantastic Counter-Strike, and your casters better enjoy this one.
I was a bit aggressive. You better enjoy this one.
Yeah.
I think we will. Train is a map that both teams are solid on. But what I will say is that in recent memory, and by that I mean yesterday, FlipSid looked shocking on Train against Optic.
Yeah, especially TT side. I mean, that's kind of an issue. TT side, you expect FlipSid to be picking up a lot of rounds based off of their executes and the well-timed attacks. But if they can't get more rounds than 4 on TT side, I don't think that's going to be enough.
I completely agree. I actually am going to go with a fairly firm Immortals prediction here because FlipSid just showed me nothing yesterday for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it is a hard one. We've seen FlipSid beat Na'Vi quite recently at the Star Ladder final, 16-4 on Train, in a very dominating fashion. But since, they've lost to Optic, obviously, just yesterday, and actually Immortals as well, lost to Optic on this map at the NA Minor.
That's a very good point.
They lost to Optic. One of them will be victorious in this one, and like the desk was saying, FlipSid been to past 6 majors, so it is intriguing to think about it that they might not be in the next one.
I think for me, the road to this situation, though, that we find ourselves in, where both teams are effectively playing for their survival, is that Immortals have had a much harder road here than FlipSid have. I think, although Immortals obviously haven't necessarily shone too brightly, when you consider the teams they've been beaten against, you can kind of understand why they find themselves up against FlipSid. But here we go. We are going to be jumping into the first round very shortly. FlipSid on the CT side, where they did struggle yesterday, and a lot of utility right off the bat here, Natty.
Yes, very interestingly, you have Immortals with 3 sets of nades, well, even a Molotov in play there. So this does imply there might be a heavy execute coming in from them. On the contrary, from the CT side, also, FlipSid has a lot of grenades, so that will help them a lot if they lose a bomb side to try and retake it. And as we can see, you could almost draw a line there on that minimap of how passively they are playing on both bomb sides.
Incredibly slow, as you say, though. With so much utility, the strategic awareness of both teams is going to be tried and tested. What FlipSid sorely lacked is any kind of adaptation yesterday. They did not evolve their strats whatsoever. They were very passive, very static, and I feel Immortals will be able to test that somewhat, but absolutely nothing really happening so far.
Henny right now selling a fake outside. He's going to get taken out by Blade, and that's going to initiate that inner push coming in. And a grenade from Will that will actually make a lot more damage.
Down to 6 goes Will, let it showers on 2. The bomb's been planted on B, of course, as it most likely always does. From the T-side's perspective, Phelps is going to land the shot, a player that you definitely need to watch out for, and it's looking pretty good for Immortals. The kills are coming in thick and fast, but here comes FlipSid. Markelov with 2, one of the underperforming players from yesterday, looking to make amends, and it's probably going to have to come down to him because his 2 comrades in arms are very low indeed. Markelov with a 3rd, but now it's on Bolt, and he can actually do this 1v3. Both players 1 bullet away from death, and he's landed the 2nd one, but they saw him. They saw him there. Markelov lands the headshot. What happened
Blade?
there?
Hello.
He saw the last player behind
I
Train.
know, right? What was Blade doing there? Obviously, in the end of the day, it is going to be around going to FlipSid. Thank you to Markelov, but Blade just zoning out totally in that situation. And, well, I'm not really sure what to say on that one. Immortals doing good work, getting the bomb plant, and applying a lot of pressure in that inner bomb site towards CT spawn. Makes that retake that much harder, but Bolt's not managing to keep them away long enough. That's going to be 1-0 lead for FlipSid.
Markelov already with 4 kills. I feel like at half-time on CT yesterday, he got 3 kills collectively the entire rounds.
That's his job done, I guess.
So, yeah, I guess he can just kind of semi-AFK now. Say, I've done my part, boys. It's up to you. They were running with double-up setups as well, Markelov and World Edit, so I'm curious to see if that's going to remain intact, or if they're going to try and shift off that strat, which really didn't pay out too much for. The Markelov typically was playing the Ivy side with it, which he is now with the M4. But here comes Shara with the UMP. Should be able to spray down Lucas as well, who is very low and gets put out of his misery. And there Shara whips his USP out and picks up a second round for FlipSid. Pretty convincing stuff so far.
Yeah, not even a bomb plant for Immortals. It's usually, actually very often you get the bomb plant on the inner bomb side on the T side of this map. Makes a lot of teams play very passively against anti-ecos and potential force buys, but actually FlipSid decides to be much more up close, and as we can see right now, Immortals decides to bind this one. They have AKs and 1 Galil in play.
Not too many grenades, but it looks like they are going to go for the shotgun or strat, just charging onto A, using what little utility they have to get up in the face, up in the grill of FlipSid. And the first kill has gone their way. Will that it's in a good position, but missing that first shot gives his position away, and he's going to have to go back down from heaven. But again, it's actually going to be a fake. Immortals have got onto the B site, and with a couple of flashbangs have forced back the defenders. Blade, in the meanwhile, will hold down on the A site, but now, of course, that call's going to come out. Showtime is pushed up aggressively. 1 kill for him, but now it's a 3-on-1. It's all on Will Let It to pull off a crazy clutch.
And not much for him to do. Seems like he's going to be just falling back. That's Immortals just pulling a fast one on FlipSid. Throwing a lot of grenades on the outer bomb side, but then deciding to take the bomb inner. And that fake was bought by FlipSid 100%. The kill's going away of Immortals as well. That's a nice one from them. Just turning the tides right away.
As you highlighted, Will Let It more than likely just going to try and save his ult. No real hope of him getting anything done. This is going to be 7.2k going through into the next round with the grenades and the Kevlar that he has alongside it. And of course, it's Will Let It. He loves to use the AWP. He's going to use it whenever he possibly can.
Then he needs to be an impact player for this team, especially on a map like Terrain.
Absolutely.
Where an AWPer can just roam around everywhere on the map and try to pick kills left and right. As you can see right now, it's going to be a force buy from FlipSid into this, based off of the AWP being saved by Will Let It. So they have 3 rifles, an AWP, and a P57 rather in play.
Those flashes, though. You can see what Will Let It wanted to do. He wanted to quickly scamper up Ivy and have a quick peek, but those flashes keep him at bay. Immortals could walk into a trap. Will Let It misses his shot, and now he's in the middle of nowhere. He does have some help behind him, courtesy of Markelov, who's ordinarily the Ivy player, and with the smoke extinguishing the molly, he's okay for now. So good opening start, albeit with a tagged up Markelov and Blade. Already we're seeing a bit more aggression from FlipSid up in box halls, so that is something to take note of.
Yeah, look at how much emphasis they have towards alley, though. Like, they have nobody playing ladder room, nobody playing anywhere near T main. Instead, basically a triangle going on there. Now finally they are approaching, or going further on down that yard. It's going to be Lucas, though, spotting Shara, who's trying to get a peek from higher ramp there with the 5-7. Decides to fall back. And just he's, well, basically his job right now is to get the information if the attack comes in a bomb site and stay alive as long as possible.
It's encouraging for me. We didn't see FlipSid a single time on the CT side yesterday push up even that aggressively. Not once. So to see them doing it already, that does make me a little bit happier. Their chances. Immortals, meanwhile, still have the grenades to play with, and the AKs. Here it comes, but Will Let It was there. He'd read the script and he was in the perfect position to strike. Can he get a second kill? His partner in crime over on the side. Shara has been put down, and with the mollies and the smokes coming out, it is going to be a bomb plant for Immortals. They don't have a molly, so they can't bounce it off the wall from upper. That could be a bit of an issue. And of course, if they hold firm on the site, it's not going to be one they have to worry about. Lucas with the headshot. This is much better from Immortals, but can they keep it going forward? Markelov on the prowl. He knows that Showtime's still behind the site, picks up the kill, nearly transitions to a second. Blade's only on 3. Will Let It again with his AWP is slowly but surely snaking his way up. He's landed the shot, but they don't have a kit. Can they even afford to go for this at this point?
Okay, can't. They have to fall back right now, but Lucas is on the hunt. But Will Let It might be... No, he's not going to get that shot. You would have thought he would. It doesn't happen. It's going to be the second round going the way of Immortals off of that execute towards the B bomb site.
There we go. I was going to say, I would have bet my house on Will Let It landing that shot. How often does he miss them? Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's known to be a little bit inconsistent at times, but you would have thought that should be a 100% shot. Markelov just getting up close. This one here is the one we thought, well, it even looks like it's on, but I guess it's on. That's a Counter-Strike for you.
Certainly is. Sometimes a bit of a coin flip. FlipSid, as a result, they're forced by in round 4. I've just got the AK and the AWP that were saved from Blade and World Edit. Henny, a guy that more often than not will perform very well on train with the AWP. Hasn't necessarily done too much so far, but of course early days. Use close range Waylander, hoping he'll force someone to ride the lightning. And well, for a couple seconds I thought he may very well have that wish granted, but Immortals playing slow, just waiting for FlipSid to push.
Yeah, nothing really happened for the first 50 seconds, to be honest. It's just Henny losing some HP. Basically, it's what's up so far. They're just waiting for any potential aggression from FlipSid. Not really getting any, to be honest, but yeah. And though, the Zoo's not going to be able to capitalize. Showtime comes down. He gets the kill. That's going to be on Blade, who goes down by Lucas. And here comes the opening kills. Becomes a 5-on-3. And they're trying to sandwich this outer bomb site. It's still occupied by Markelov here in the back of 6 train, who opens up a kill on Bolts. Pick up an AK-47. But that was short-lived.
Was short-lived, but Markelov already performing far better than yesterday. One of those 2 save weapons in the hands of World Edit. Bit of an antique AWP at this point. He's been holding on to it for so long. A kill in familiar territory. Kill, back away, try and save, but Immortals are in a position now to actually charge him down, and their economy is not fantastic, so if World Edit does his piece, he can actually really hurt Immortals here.
That's the risk, but at the same time, still the money on FlipSid's side is not that pretty either. So if World Edit manages to keep this AWP, which it doesn't seem like he would, well, that would have been a way better buy for FlipSid, but that's going to be out of the play. But still going to be a buy for FlipSid. Let's see. We're going in for it. There's World Edit sitting at 5.2k, so he could get an op, but that would be a glass cannon.
Yeah, and you're going to see how much that's going to sting him now. Because he couldn't save the AWP, he has to go for the M4 instead. Because otherwise, as you said, the alternative was to have no Kevlar and lack of grenades. Again, we said, World Edit, he is very much the preference of the AWP, given the chance. Showtime, making the move down Pop Dog. We've seen him and Lucas occupying here the last time getting entry frags, and FlipSid have by and large given this up.
Yeah, they're giving so much room for Immortals to play with, and they take ladder room right away. They have the information from the get-go that they can play with it. Waylander, he's playing with the idea of playing aggressive. It gets surprising here, but I mean, just scooping up. Markelov opening things up here. Here comes the aggression from FlipSid out of nothing.
2 kills did go the way of FlipSid just beforehand, down to a 2-on-2. 2 flashes, no kit. But Cam will let it and Shara connecting the dots. Phelps has picked up the AWP from Henny's corpse, who fell down in team main. There's still a lot of time to play with though, Natu, and they can still scurry away back into team main and maybe even go B if they so choose. So FlipSid may be caught in 2 minds. I think the important thing is to stick together.
Exactly. A lot of options to choose from still. Molotov doesn't go far enough to be a problem for World Edit. I think may have just spotted Phelps a little bit there. Decides against taking a shot though. That's going to be a pop flash for World Edit to take a peek. It's going to be a deep out here on Yard, but becomes a 1-on-1 out of those 2 shots.
And for the reload, got punished. Shara, World Edit's been spotted. He's not going to get fragged. World Edit actually comes out and picks it up for FlipSid. I was sure Showtime had that. Instead, 3-3, but FlipSid lose 4 weapons, so they're not quite recovering just yet.
No, this is where it gets dangerous for them, but the fact of the matter is Immortals' economy is also broken. So it's now becoming the choice. Do we want to risk it and try to break the economy from FlipSid? Because that is definitely an option, but they decide to go for a more conservative approach to it. Creating some pistols, getting a few grenades, and it seems like they're going to be going for ladder once again. Let's try to get the timing correct for Yard push.
Ollie will keep them in place a little while longer for Waylander's nade to do damage. Lucas down to 35. Lands in his pocket almost. The Markelov will finish him off with his own nade. Blade in the meanwhile gets flashed but can hold position. Bomb now dropped in a horrible spot for Immortals. That's pretty much them just sinking out of this round. And it's flawless for FlipSid. So before saying they haven't quite stabilized, that's going to go a long way to get a healthy bank balance.
Exactly. He does help him a little bit though. All they have to do is rebuy some of the grenades they disposed of in the previous rounds, but having to buy weapons is obviously a great thing. In the meanwhile though, Immortals' economy is still not looking too pretty, so they have to resort to 3 Galils. An op on Henny obviously could be the difference maker, and they have quite a bit of equipment to work with. all kinds of grenades, so enables them to do pretty much anything on the map.
Brave defense by FlipSid thus far, but you always feel with them that they're only a couple of rounds from a potential collapse. They never really instill massive amounts of confidence in you. Immortals with 3 Galils do have a pretty healthy buy, all things considered. But FlipSid with 3 Incendiaries. Incendiary very important on maps like Train, can bottleneck, those bottleneck positions I should say, can be fended off for a good few seconds. The sights as well. But Immortals playing this slow and steady.
They definitely are taking their sweet time. It's already a minute past on the clock, and again, nothing's really happened as this FlipSid play really passively. In the meanwhile, Immortals taking their sweet time to set things up, and seemingly they are setting up for some yard smokes here. The question is though if the bomb is going to be making its way out of team main or if it's going to be actually going towards inner bomb site. By the looks of things, it's going to be a fake for yard with a couple of salesmen coming in here from the Brazilians, but Waylander up close on yard. It's going to get taken out by Showtime.
Almost instantly, Markelov though will answer back, and now it's up to Shara. What can he get done from this position? 1 kill comes down, he's going to drop the bomb. But he wasn't good for any more. 30 seconds, Phelps now going to be coming round the back, gets caught from Blade. Important kill. If he managed to get into connect, he could have made things very difficult. I could just spot the leg underneath the Train. He can't connect the second shot, Will, that it's not going to get rewarded. And Henny in the meanwhile puts down his teammate of Markelov. Another missed shot from Will, that that's been a bit of a reoccurring theme. Will need to drastically change for FlipSid's chances. But this 2-1-2 remains. Will Dead, it just walks straight by with the USP, and Blade finalizes the round. FlipSid take it.
Yeah, Immortals just not managing to make big enough of an impact on the yard after those smokes and having those 2 people run there. Only made 1 kill happen, so that pretty much killed the whole idea of their fake. And going to inner bomb site with in a 2-on-3 situation for the afterplan, always going to be hard. A lot of pressure on Henny there to connect on the bullets. Not managing to do that well enough, and that's going to be the 5th round going the way of FlipSid.
What a difference a day makes for Markelov. Yesterday, a shocking performance. Today, top fragging by a considerable margin, nearly doubling anyone else on his team. And I mentioned earlier, against Optic, they ran with the double ops. Here we go, one of the first times we've seen it. Nice reaction shot from Markelov. Unfortunately for him, it's just Bolt's legs that get connected on. So down to 16, he falls. But the re-aggression comes back in, turning up the heat. Blades down from Phelps, but with him and Bolts both incredibly low, you don't really fancy the chances of Immortals barring some crazy one-taps. And there's Markelov again. Going around at the back of the site, Nathu. Surely Immortals don't get anything from this position. They're all so low.
They shouldn't be able to. I mean, the best they can hope for right now is bomb plant. Waylander, though, the right positioning. Get those 2 kills along with Shara now. Leaves only Bolts. Sold out to the picture right now, and that's going to be a FlipSid with another round. It's good to see Markelov on that op once again. It's been a while since I've had the pleasure of watching him op.
Well, indeed he has been doing, and it's a pretty strong effect so far today. Immortals will be reeling, and what Optic had really that wrecked FlipSid and what they just didn't adapt to was crazy entry frags from the likes of Rush and Nafly, and that was mainly coming through Pop Dog. So when I consistently see Showtime and Lucas, who are 2 of the weaker members of Immortals, going in there, I do wonder if maybe they want to mix it up at some point, maybe take Bolts or Phelps and see if they can get the entries instead. Just have to wait and see. For now though, pretty standard Immortals. Back to feeling out FlipSid, who have looked reinvigorated, maybe got their heads down and figured out what went wrong yesterday.
Oof, Phelps almost going down from a Molotov.
5 health.
Yeah. 1G's in the chat, eh?
Well, we saw Attacker 1G earlier, killed by his own Molotov, on short of course, brilliant.
Well,
But Phelps has gone down anyway, so the Molotov did more than its job.
exactly. That's going to be a money need. Markelov. Another kill going his way. Now this time around though, you can have Henny here. Just playing around with lower ramp. Shara could overextend. Well, that's going to work in his favor before Henny comes in to trade that kill. Still favorites the CTs though. So Henny needs to make a play here. He's going to take a peek from higher ramp. Yeah, just looking at back at 2. I'm not going to find anything though. That's the lone player in a bomb that is rolled at it right now. It's an AWP between the 3 trains.
I like this from FlipSid. A player up, trying to make the most of that, get some real estate. Waylander's pushed into T-main. This gives some information, allows Walden to remain on their site, and he saw the flash come out from Bolts. That cost him his life. 23-second smoke now coming down. Will will make that call very quickly. It's going to be a B hit, boys. Get yourself over here as soon as possible. And he's managed to stall them for long enough. The cavalry is arriving now. The bomb will get planted, but it shouldn't matter a great deal. The flip side, Markelov in, will let it as well. Both using their AWPs to strong effect. And FlipSid with a 7-3 lead.
Wow, it just seemed like World had actually legged someone mid-air, jumping on top of the bomb, between the bomb train. But yeah, FlipSid definitely just dictated plays right now. Immortals having a hard time trying to correct the code, I guess you could say, on how to work with this defense. They're not getting any opening kills. They're not getting any. FlipSid is not giving any free kills to start things off. But this time around, it's going to be Immortals just rushing out the yard.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a desperation play now, realizing that these slow rounds just haven't been yielding any results. They got their 3 rounds off the back of ultimately raking that economy. Showtime. Lucas as well. Beautiful one tap. The bomb's going to get planted. And maybe aggression was the key. Oh, that nade. Lucas dropped low, 11. Molly on the site is going to do nothing to deter Immortals, who've already got the bomb planted and scurried away into post-plant positions, and pretty solid ones at that. Shara not punished just yet. We'll get the spray down, but not cleanly. Wall that it is keeping the dream alive, however. They're going to fend off Connector with the smoke. And Henny's going to have to push through this, but with 2 players very low, maybe this is doable. No, he gets picked off on the cross, and it's going to be FlipSid successfully retaking the site.
Wow, it's just every single situation has been going their way. I mean, doesn't matter what's happening. They seem to be clutching every single situation. And obviously, having the numbers favor you for the most part of the rounds, it's going to make things way easier defending. So definitely, if I'm Immortals right now, you want to speed up that gameplay quite a bit. I mean, the slow play style is not giving them anything. They're not getting that man advantage, and that's going to be a problem.
17 for 5, Markelov. Nuts. Whereas you look on the side of Immortals, the players you normally would highlight, Volts and Henny, both on 4 kills apiece. They've done pretty much nothing, and that's surprising considering this is one of Henny's best maps, I would say, with the AWP. But here comes Waylander stepping up tall. He's going to get burnt out, but wanted to try and take a player with him. Oh, dearie me. Well, it gets caught out. This is now in the realms of possibility for Immortals. Markelov going to shut the door in their face, as will Blade. Henny, what can you get done? You've done very little in this map so far. Is this your moment to strike? No, the resounding answer from FlipSid.
And it's going to be a tactical pause. It could have actually come in a couple of rounds earlier too, but now this time around, you saw Immortals actually take a very aggressive approach, try to rush yard. But again, they just cannot seem to be able to trade effectively, to have the numbers in their advantage, to well, basically get a bomb plant where they are up a 4-3 or a 3-on-2 situation. Instead, they just struggle to gain ground.
In the rounds that they've lost, well, 9 of them in total, of course, they've only got the bomb planted 3 times. And on a map like Train, where B site is fairly comfortable to get the site down if you get the right smokes and flashes up, that's actually quite a worrying statistic, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying. They just haven't had that much success when it comes to the objective side of Counter-Strike.
I mean, for the most part of these 2 rounds that they played slow, they just wasted a minute of doing nothing. They were not even trying to challenge a lot of spots. I mean, a lot of the times on defaults, you see teams go to alley and they try to really contest it. They try to bait out the CT to take a peek, or they try to make a plain team main, or go down ladder, try to make play there, but not really all too much of that. It's either been really slow rounds where they don't really do anything, or it's been like semi-slow where they take over ladder and they try to just explode the yard. But again, it's just been FlipSid doing a great job of fending them off.
And of course, both teams find themselves in the exact same position. They are 1-2, 1 more loss, and they will not be going to Cologne. The road to this point, Immortals lost to Envious 16-6, lost to Tyloo 16-11, and then beat Empire yesterday 16-7 to get themselves into this 1-2. FlipSid, they beat Renegade 16-9, fairly convincing on Mirage, lost to FaZe 16-5, that was a battered performance, and then lost to Optic as well 16-7. So whereas Immortals started with 2 losses, FlipSid actually started with a win, and have been on a downward trajectory ever since. So this would be a pretty impressive victory if they manage to finalize it from this point.
Definitely would be, and we are right back into it. And there's 9-3 lead right now for FlipSid, and Immortals just taking a tactical time out there, trying to think things through. Let's see what they came up with. They have an AWP on Henny. Quite a bit of utility and aggressiveness from Waylander comes in. Phelps being ready for that. He was sent down ladder directly, and for probably the first time ever, they actually are in a 5-on-4 advantage early on.
has been one of the few chances they've had. And it's Waylander as well, who has been pulling his weight. I mean, he's got 7 kills only, but he's got 6 assists, so he's been involved with 13 kills overall. Not too shabby whatsoever. You can see the corpse of his body in Pop Dog as Blade just walked past it. Phelps 21 health. But again, it comes back to that whole premise of what you were saying, that Immortals have taken a lot of time, taken their sweet time to actually start to aggress onto a site, and that's been playing into the AWPs of FlipSid.
Yeah, it's okay to play it really slowly, but then you kind of have to have that plan of how do we try to force a play, and then you play off of that. Instead, it's just been a bit of a waste of time so far in these slow rounds. This time around, though, as they do have a mad advantage, it could be in their favor, but as you can see right now, FlipSid has taken 2 players into the inner bomb side. As I just say that, though, it's going to be just Shara. We have Immortals just coming out from high ramp, and it's going to be Shara just shot. You know what? Double one gets 2 kills before Immortals manages to trade the kills.
Shara Spider-Man. Just, what was he? Jumped over the first player, hit the shot in midair, then got the second frag. Alrighty then, that just happened. Just CS things. Immortals anyway, the bomb has been planted. Other than that crazy play, they do find themselves in a decent position. One of the few that we can really highlight. That's a molly that's going to keep Blade at bay for a couple seconds, but it's not going to stop him from pushing over the site, and there is zero cohesion or teamwork right now. They're all banking off the plant position, and Henny landing this shot on Marklov is just going to sit at the back of the site, lands it for himself. Now Bolton a 1v2 with 20 health, has to go massive, comes through, does pick up the first frag and gets the spray down. Immortals get a 4th round, but my goodness.
It wasn't pretty, was it?
Jeez.
At least they get it, but, well, having lost everyone else, so they are still in a very bad situation with their economy. They are in reset territory, but there you have it. Baltz is going to be the one to clutch that one for Immortals to keep themselves a lifeline, I guess I should say. And again, you see Immortals making their way towards above the ladder. Waylander's ready for it. It's going to get down to 12 HP and flashed in the progress as well.
Important to mention as well, up until that point, FlipSid had won 7 rounds in a row. So Immortals finally breaking the curse.
Yeah, it's been a lot of close rounds still, so I mean,
it's true.
Still, economy not pretty for FlipSid either.
A shot from Markelov, Henny darting back and forth will meet his demise. His nemesis of Markelov continues to be just that. Immortals, last round where they were successful, did get the first kill, then converted onto B. But with this opening pick, FlipSid have been very good at keeping these leads. Oh, World Edit's going to have a field day. If they don't flash or smoke this, World Edit is going to get at least 1 kill. It surprises me that they'd come out there when they know that World Edit's always lurking around the B site. Again, no, B is going to get aggressed on. It is the easier of the sites to get the plant on these kind of scenarios, but it's all about the retake now for FlipSid, and there goes Phelps. World Edit with the back shot. See you later. Bomb will finally get planted, but it's a 2-on-4. And Blade's going to be coming in again here, Natu, and Boltz is a dead man. Oh dear.
Wow. What can you say about that one then? Just a casual shot by World Edit through the smoke. No implications that anyone was there, but yeah, why not? Just take a shot. Why wouldn't you?
Well, I guess you have plenty of ammunition. You're waiting for your team to arrive. The smoke there, it's pretty solid chance that someone will be trying to push that smoke.
Also, another great fan of these rounds where you are just slowly making your way to a bomb site, and there's like absolutely no sound anywhere on the map, and then you decide to just walk in. So it's very common because we're just going to be focusing on a single angle.
Yeah.
In that kind of a scenario where there's like absolutely nothing going on in the map. Roll that it's, well, he's going to be thankful for that. Gets the free kill.
Absolutely. They must have realized that with Markelov using the AWP on Ivy on A, that World Edit's going to have his AWP around B somewhere, whether it's connector, whether it's being, the catwalk side on the boxes. Does surprise me a little bit. So Immortals now fighting for a 5th round on their T-half.
You kind of have to apply pressure on outer bomb site though. If you want to just walk out high to enter bomb site, I don't think it works if nothing's going on. Simply put.
Absolutely. This is where the fakes, this is where just drawing the attention of the CTs elsewhere on the map can be vital. Wasn't forthcoming, and now Immortals with a minute to play with, looking to push the green light and get themselves into the face of the FlipSid once again. This has been what's yielded the most results, I'd say, overall, is this aggression, but this time Waylander is going to get a double spray down. The bomb's been dropped as well, spins around, he's going to be aggressed on, gets P2000, nearly a third shot. His fourth coming in now, it's up to Blade, he gets put down with authority. So Immortals are hanging on by a thread. We'll let it with the 5-7. We'll step out the shadows and finish him off. Very well played from FlipSid. 11-4 lead, that is massive.
That definitely is massive, but we're going to be taking a halftime break now, and as you come back, it's going to be 11-4, FlipSid. Their turn to try the T side.
It's do or die time for Immortals, and dying they did plenty on their T-half. 11-4 they trail. It's going to have to start right here, right now. If they lose this map, quite simply put, they are not going through to the Cologne Major. FlipSid looking to make history once again on their T-half. Whereas on the first pistol we saw a lot of utility, this time a bit less from both teams.
Yeah, you could say that. Cade still has a flash and a grenade to work with, and it's like a bit of a default here coming from FlipSid, trying to grind some kills before committing to anything. But really Lucas with immense amount of damage. Also Henny coming into play. It's going to be good for Immortals right now. 3 kills going their way, make that 4. Only Sharo left now with 1 HP, and shouldn't have a lot left in him. But I say that though, he managed to get the kill and does do a lot of damage, but 1 HP, 1 on 3, what can he really expect?
There you go, Immortals. First obstacle navigated over pretty convincingly in the end at that. So, yesterday FlipSid's T-half actually wasn't too shabby in places. But Immortals, we know how much they feed off energy, we know how much they feed off momentum. If they can start to get hype, they can start to get that wind back behind them, anything's possible. FlipSid have a Deagle, P250s, that's about it.
Yeah, they're definitely taking the conservative route at this point. So they're not going to have a lot of money next round unless they get a bomb plant. That could possibly enable them to buy, but if that doesn't happen, then I don't think there's a world where they should buy. Especially considering the lead they have from first half.
That's exactly it. They've got a buffer of rounds that they can just nestle into. I know they're comfortable for a good while yet. at Deagle. The P250s give them the opportunity to put a couple scratches and dents in the economy of Immortals. If they can get a bomb plant even better, that'll be icing on a delicious cake as far as FlipSid are concerned. But Immortals have the weapons to fend off this push, you have to assume, and a pretty decent setup as well. Ooh, this nade could do some damage. Actually does nothing. Didn't quite go deep enough.
CSGO nades. They are questionable.
At times they certainly are, but there's nothing wrong with that UMP headshot, and Phelps has got a second one. He's looking for a third. He's very low. He will lose his life. Hyper-aggressive play. Lucas with 2 with the FAMAS. And we'll let it Deagle. Isn't going to get the job done on Teheni. So, as expected, FlipSid will trail on this second half, but they still have a 5-round buffer. And this is where you're talking about, like, do not force if you're FlipSid. Just bite the bullet. Wait till round 19, get a decent buy then.
Yeah, basically their investment in that previous round was all about just trying to force a bomb plant. And then maybe if they get a bunch of kills, they could buy, theoretically, to try and break their opponent's economy. But since they didn't really do any of that, they will just resort to another eco.
Certainly the correct play, as far as we're both concerned. But can they do anything in this round? Is it going to be a pure throwaway round? Are they going to get nothing out of this, yield no results? I feel like B probably is the smarter decision overall if you want a better chance of getting the bomb planted. Especially considering that Showtime was by himself. Of course, there's no way of FlipSid knowing that. It's the benefit of the mini-map and X-Ray from
unless they cheat, of course.
Perspective. Yeah. Hacks on land confirms.
Top banter.
The BM is real. Ooh, Markov. Long range effort from the MP7 puts him down to 20. Blade's also been tagged, and FlipSid just biding their time, waiting for the right moment to push, and this may very well be it. The first kill comes down. It's going to keep a couple of those CTs interested over on the A side. Showtime from behind the coils will strike, and it's pretty much business as usual. Immortals going to close this out flawlessly, unless Markov has the play of a lifetime.
Well, and even more if you take account his HP, but does get 1 kill. I don't think he's getting much more than that. And that is exactly going to be the storyline. And now finally we do have a buy run coming in. FlipSid also has the money to do whatever they want to. World Date on that up right away from the get-go. And all the utilities as well. So let's see what kind of an approach FlipSid is going to have for us here. This T-set of train.
One of the pitfalls that FlipSid fell into yesterday is that they are very one-dimensional with their T-half, being incredibly slow. Like, they very rarely get fast plays in, as we saw from Immortals do a couple times onto the A site. So I wonder if we are going to see a mix-up today. It's a very spread-out attack so far. Pretty much across the board. No one's in T main, but the rest of the map has been covered from FlipSid. Make sure no pesky CTs, play aggressively.
Yeah, they are definitely working that those dark holes towards inner bomb side a lot more, and just basically holding any other angle. So that's where they're trying to create their opening before making decisions. Markov shot here right now just to cause a bit of a distraction. Make sure that the Immortals know there's people here on this part of the map too.
So the action in a stalemate, a standstill, as eerie silence falls on the battlefield. Neither team seemingly wanting to push just yet, realizing that so much at stake, especially in this round from Immortals. This would be a tough pill to swallow if they were to lose this round. Their economy would be struggling, but Will Let It's going to be throwing over the smoke towards Connector. It looks like this could be a bit of a fake. There's 2 players with the bomb in hand looking to force down through Pop Dog. They're going to be meeting Lucas. Just a FAMAS to his name. These 25 bullets are going to need to be utilized properly, and they're not. Shara's there for the kill. Henny misses his chance, and now this could be curtains as far as Immortals are concerned. There's not that much time for FlipSid. They're going to have to get a move on themselves, but Henny and Bots both fall in quick succession, leaving Phelps with it all to do by his lonesome. The bomb still has been planted. It's actually been dropped out in a precarious position from FlipSid. To this clutch now actually is a bit more doable. There's 9 seconds. Phelps has got a second kill, and all he has to do is back away. There's not enough time for Markov. Phelps is going to pull off a crazy clutch in an integral round to Immortals' comeback.
Wow, what on earth just happened there? I mean, Phelps obviously insane plays there, but just what kind of mistakes are those in this kind of situation? You played it perfectly up until that point. Bit of a fake there at 200 bomb site. You go down ladder, go to yard, you get the opening kills. You have the numbers favoring you heavily, 4-on-2 at best. Then it becomes a 4-on-1, and then the bomb is just not in the right place at the right time, is it? It's got to be devastating for FlipSid. That was a round that you have to win. They got the entries onto the side. Everything was looking good. And then the Phelps effect. And those are the kind of moments that will inspire the entire Brazilian squad as well. That's worth more than just the one round that goes on the board.
Right now, Shara just walked out of teammate basically while the rest of his team is working inner bomb side now. He does go down. And somehow, well, that's going to be the initiator for FlipSid to just fall back.
Damage expended though for FlipSid. Waylander will let it both eat significant chunks of damage from the grenade that was tossed up into box halls. Still have the AWP to play off from Markelov. Was unable to kill Phelps before time ran out in round 19. It's asking a lot for him to chime in and get some kills. He's 14 for 9 right now. Markelov continues to be the beast on the server. 25 for 10, but only a P250.
Oh, he definitely wants to get to a major.
Oh yes, be massive for FlipSid. Massive for both teams, of course. Waylander on E-box going to get picked off. Meanwhile, Markelov is just staring down the barrel of the gun. He did spot the shoulder peeking through. Now it's up to Blade to just charge him down, but he's going to get picked off, and so will Markelov in the end. 11-9. Immortals have broken FlipSid, but FlipSid will be right back in with the AK bite.
Yeah, they were half buying into the previous one. Now they have an AWP in play as well. So it's going to be a full-on buy from them. Quite a bit of utility as well, so they should be fine. Let's see if they're going to continue this slow play. Markelov playing alley. Just working inner bomb side before making a decision on what they want to do.
I see some aggression this time from Showtime. Saw Shara do this in the eco round when the roles were reversed and FlipSid on the CT side. Got a bit of information, just darts away. He's now going to be flirting with the idea of maybe smoking off the ramp, and he has options. You see some players actually sit behind the smoke and try and be cheeky. Instead, he's going to back away. Position that you see Taz play a lot as well on the train. That smoke keeps FlipSid at arm's length for a while, but of course, once that clears, FlipSid may have some intentions of pushing down onto B site and claiming the life of Showtime.
It's the crowd, they're just sitting out for it. Showtime though does Molotov the lower ramp, and that is going to slow things down a little bit, but I think FlipSid wasn't even intending to go yet before that Molotov is out of the picture.
Close. Gives you a bit of damage. If it was a couple meters further down, it would have done a whole lot of damage, been right in the face, but it's Showtime. And I say he wanted to claim his life. He has been sacrificed to the B gods, but it's Will Dead It and Waylander who are going to get the entries. Bomb planted as well. And it falls to Lucas and the clutch meister himself, Phelps. A very different situation though from the last time. He played his position to perfection. This time though, the bomb's already been planted. And all the pressure is on Immortals to retake. And retake they shall try. Phelps is going to be taking point, not looking down to his left-hand side, which is Waylander was residing. That leaves Lucas to try and back away and save the M4. He's eating damage left, right, and center. Still alive on 6 health. He somehow scurried his way out of there, out of the rat trap.
Well, if the rounds keep going like this, I feel like Immortals are going to have a tough time. Phelps is not going to be there to save them every time, and FlipSid is not going to be mucking up with a bomb. Round after the other, so far FlipSid looking good on the C side, managing to get the entries to the bomb side, managing to make the situations favorable for themselves in terms of man advantage. So that's going to be a tough one for Immortals.
There has been some worrying signs, although Immortals did win 5 rounds in a row. That's the first FlipSid T round thus far. They have been close a couple of times, of course, with that Phelps clutch. But as a result, Immortals comfortable rebuy in with the one AWP in the hands of Henny. Now again, with FlipSid T side, you can almost guarantee that for at least 45 seconds, very little is going to happen. As is the same with a lot of T. Train halves in fairness, but Will Let It is going to take the initiative somewhat. It's going to be peeking through the catwalk side of upper. This is a much more aggressive play. We didn't see this yesterday from FlipSid. Could this catch a Molt off guard? You better believe it does. Showtime's good for a kill. The Bolts is dead, and now Showtime comes up with a second one. Big individual plays in a third as well, and he somehow survived long enough to be a pain in the backside, but it's Phelps that comes in and cleans up what Showtime started.
Very well played.
Yeah, lucky for Immortals, they had 2 players playing in a bomb side. That was FlipSid is basically exploding out of that higher ramp. And it's Showtime with these magnificent kills here, keeping Immortals into it.
But that really was Showtime. If he dies, the bomb's planted, it's pretty much Immortals conceding a 13th round. But Showtime, a guy that you don't necessarily assume to top frag for Immortals, there's a good 3 players that you put ahead of him, is top fragging right now. 19 kills, 3 assists, very well played. Henny, the guy that I personally would have singled out as a player to watch for Immortals on train with his AWP, 10 for 16. He's had very little impact.
Yeah, well, I mean, Immortals is one of those teams that does have a lot of skill. The depth in skill is rather high. So when it really matters, you can have these kind of performances from other players too. But obviously, like you pointed out, Henny needs to be the kind of an impact player for this team, and that's pretty much why they're struggling. I mean, he can be the one influence that will get that 1 extra kill each round to open up a situation.
So, FlipSid went for the aggressive play. They very nearly got it done, barring a Showtime clutch.
Yeah.
Well, I say clutch. He kind of did clutch around in the sense of his 3 kills.
Yeah, he stopped the push. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing that, like, from a tactical point of view, you did wrong. It was just an individual being at the right place at the right time. They had 2 CTs on that bomb site. Even when you get the entry, you still have that second guy at there. Rotation comes in, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can't really blame yourself. So far, FlipSid actually has been very close from winning a lot of these rounds. Well, obviously, the one where Phelps went ham is the one that comes to your mind. This could be a totally different scoreline right now if that round didn't happen.
I feel like we're not going to see too many more rushes from FlipSid, especially on the B side. They're not necessarily the team to do that a great deal. They're often compared to the likes of Na'Vi, same region, same play style with quite slow executes, last 15-20 seconds.
They've defined that, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. Immortals, on the other hand, are a bit more aggressive on their CT side. They are trying to get up in the face at times. We saw Showtime go for a peek in the previous round into box halls. We've seen a couple players flirting with the idea of going up Ivy and T main. But FlipSid, I feel like this pause is as much just discussing a couple of ironing out some kinks as much as it is just taking the momentum away from Immortals and just taking a collective, deep breath and just saying, okay, guys, look, we've got 4 more rounds we need to give ourselves an opportunity to qualify still. Let's do this. Let's just try and figure out what's gone wrong.
There's no need for them to tilt so far. They've been very much in the second half. Just been small little details that need to go their favor in the situations when they're at the bomb sites. That it's basically the difference between them losing and winning rounds. They have the opportunities. It seems as though we are live here, and FlipSid decides to force into this. 3 AKs, a Galil, and a Tech 9. Plenty of grenades.
So, are they going to catch Immortals off? We may think this could be an eco. A lot of teams will call the pause when it's the eco, and it'll be the rifle round afterwards when you see the change of strats come to fruition. But as expected, FlipSid don't go for another charge. They will be playing more standard Counter-Strike. They have 4 smokes to use. Obviously a priority in terms of grenades when it comes to training. Indeed, most maps. Smoke is very important. There's not that much utility, though, in the hands of Immortals, in fairness. They've already went through quite a few of them.
Exactly, and that's always going to be hard. If an actual hit comes in, that's when you want to have the Molotovs, the smokes to just basically bottleneck those choke points, make them impossible to get across. Now, as suggested, FlipSid taking things very, very slowly so far. Sure, just play with the idea of just putting out a lower ramp, but decides against it. Now, here comes the auto push, though.
I think that was all a bit of a fake because the bomb that entire time was in T main. FlipSid showing their hand now that it is going to be the execute. Henny putting down a kill, as will Phelps. Looking good again for Immortals. Time is scarce and it's going to have to come in with some entry frags. We'll let it and Waylander both come in with kills apiece, but we'll let it with already 2. Has to go 2 better. We'll be faking the bomb, trying to draw out one of these remaining CTs. Faking it out again. Showtime's going to push through the smoke and will meet his maker. Beautiful play from World Elite. Now he's going to be able to get the plant. Henny at the back of the site is going to be snaking his way through the train. And World Elite is checking every single corner, and Henny connects the shot in mid-air, of all things. Finally, he has provided some fireworks, and Immortals, once again, just about clutch the round.
Yeah, they've just been on top of all these clutch situations. A bit of luck in their side as well, obviously.
just working away, but World obviously playing that great up until the point where I don't know if he needed to really move from that position. He could have just stayed there for a while longer, but decides to try and get into the Z connector. It's always easy, by the way, to beat the guy with the buts and ifs, but this time was Henny coming out on top.
So, FlipSid, after calling their pause, lose the next round and will be looking to retaliate with a charge onto A with pistols. No Kevlar, just ruthless aggression with the little weaponry they have. Shara is going to put it to good use. Phelps is on top of the train, drops down, claims himself the frag. The bomb dropped in the middle of nowhere, as will Shara behind enemy lines goes Waylander. Killed in the smoke. FlipSid find themselves all equal at 12 apiece now with Immortals, who have had a fantastic CT side. That hasn't all been the best Counter-Strike, but they have managed to get themselves 8 rounds as opposed to the 1 for FlipSid.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. What's set on the scoreboard?
A win's a win. Doesn't matter how you get there.
Exactly. But now we have yet another buy round here for FlipSid. Off on the World Edit once again. He's going to be teammate this time around. Trying to get some, anyone going to be on that 5 train, but he's not going to be finding anything as Immortals takes a very passive approach to how they hold yard. One player in the Z connector, and 1 by 6 and 1 by alley.
Oh, that incendiary perfectly timed it. Isolated Shara from World Edit, who was just behind him, so he's kind of forced to keep going forward. Doing so ends up getting picked off. There's World Edit though, brings it back to equality. They have Molly, which has just been thrown from Markelov. It's going to be an Ivy looking to pounce on this. Henny at the back of Ivy with the AWP's going to be trying to lay down the cover fire for his team, but FlipSid a bit disjointed in this attack. They're just peeking 1 by 1. It's going to work from Blade, but now they need to be forcing through Ivy, and that's exactly what Markelov does. But there's a flame in his way. Have to wait till that clears. It's still a lot of time to play with. Waylander should have this frag. Showtime goes down. He's going to try and rotate around the back, and in doing so now, FlipSid could very well just start to take this bomb to B if they so choose. Waylander's gone there already. Looks like maybe he's going to try and get himself some information, but FlipSid seem maybe caught in 2 minds of what they need to do here.
Yeah, I think they're overthinking things right now. Bolt's going to be getting that Cologne Markelov. I think that's going to be the cue that the push is coming hard right now. Going to be Henny versus Blade here in the 1-on-1. Blade going for the bomb plant. He gets it down.
And he's already clutched the 1v1 against World Edit. Can he now take down Blade? There are so many angles to cover on this retake, but judging from where the bomb's planted, that should give him a couple of clues. Or at least you'd think. Blaze is going on top of the train. He's looking across it. He has spotted Henny now. 100% is going to open up. He doesn't get the kill, and that could prove so costly. Henny surely is not going to pull this one off. The P250 is going in. It was so close. Blade's been dropped to just 8 health. So close, yet so far. FlipSid finally get themselves a second T round.
Yeah, the problem right now is that Immortals, their economy is going to be rather low, but they still decide to force into it as they get an op onto Henny. The Eagle on 5-7 as well in play, so right now it is, it's just been so many close rounds right now, so it's just stressful to be on either side, to be honest with you.
See Immortals, as a result of them going so close so many times, now do their buy. A bit sketchy. They do still have an AWP, they do still have an M4 and a couple of grenades to play with, the kit as well. A lot of the markers have been ticked, but nowhere near as many as they'd like. And they are going to be stacking on A as a result. 4A, 1B. The one player on B is Showtime with the aforementioned M4, however, so maybe he can make that sing for him.
This is such a massive round because both teams are, either team that loses this is going to be just broke.
Yeah. The game right now is hanging in the balance, and the winner of this round could very well tip the scales in their favor. If FlipSid win this, actually, it's not going to be tipping, they're going to be slamming down their side, because Immortals will be flat out broke. Smokes coming into the site. Showtime is being flashed, he's being forced to push a bit aggressively. He does have bolts with a FAMAS now coming up from behind him. But the damage is being inflicted. Showtime with 2 massive kills. Waylander, though, drops down from Catwalk and will silence him. The bomb will be getting planted. This is a rough ask. You look at the weapons, you look at the lack of grenades and no kit. Oh, Natty, this is going to have to be a phenomenal play from Immortals or a massive throw from FlipSid. And there we go, World, that it says not today, Lucas. Phelps on top of the train could get the upper hand onto Waylander. It's a pretty standard spot, but they fought right past one another, tiptoeing his Waylander around the back, and he could get the drop. No, he gets picked off from Phelps, and now it's all Markelov, but he has the Molotov. It's going to block the defuse, and we've already mentioned there's no kit. The headshot from Markelov, he started this map so well. Can he finish strong as well? And Henny has to just duck away and save the AWP. FlipSid will move to 14.
And that's going to be Immortals' economy just broken right now. And he does save that AWP. And Markelov with yet another massive round for his team. Just trying to single-handedly just take them towards that spot into the major. Sitting at 27 kills, 2 assists and 15 deaths.
Very nice. 27 kills for him, 21 for World Edit. I mentioned that Immortals would be flat out broke. They had the decision, do they want to just force for this and hope for the best, or do they want to save and try and save 3 rounds should they lose it? They went for the save option, but again, even then, when you look at their economy, Hinatu, they've saved, but they're going to be on like Mag 7s, maybe some upgraded pistols, maybe a couple of FAMASs. It's going to be broke again.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to fend off any attacks, really, because you need to have, we discussed this earlier, you need to have Molotovs and smokes to keep off the opponents once they're committing to a bomb site.
As a result, the Immortals realizing that they are a bit lax in weaponry, go for the aggression, and it's Henny. What a time this would be for him to step up and shift through the gears. That's going to alleviate some pressure. The sad news for Immortals is the kill didn't come down in the open where they can retrieve the weapon, so they still find themselves well and truly behind. Blade silences Phelps, who was looking to try and make a move up Pop Dog. FlipSid certainly favourites to take this round, but now it's up to Showtime. Close range, can't get the execution. Hunter became the hunted, and now FlipSid, with a player advantage, will look to burst out onto B. They're going to put the smokes down on A. In actual fact, the bomb hasn't been picked up just yet, and they could be walking into Henny's trap. 30 seconds to go. We've seen this before from FlipSid, taking far too long to get onto a site when they had the advantage, and they were punished last time. Henny misses the shot in midair. It would have been a sick shot, but instead, they have to throw down the incendiary and hope for the best. It is burning a couple of those terrorists alive, but the bomb will be planted anyway in the smoke. Henny again, narrowly missing out on it. Now it's going to have to come to Bolts and Lucas with their P250s to get up in the face and land some crazy one-taps. Not going to happen from Bolt's perspective. Blade is there on point, and now again, Henny has to realize, okay, if we're going to play for this 15th round for FlipSid, I have to keep this AWP in play. I can't afford to lose it.
Exactly, because they will not have any money to rebuy an AWP. I'm 100% sure. So I looked a little bit scared there for a moment, but would Henny being able to connect on any of those 2 bullets he took as the bomb was making its way to the bomb site? That could have actually gotten really dangerous for FlipSid, but they still managed to stay alive with 4. And that's going to be that 15th round on the board for FlipSid.
Simply put, for Immortals, win the next 3 rounds, or you are not going to Cologne. You will not be playing any part of the major. FlipSid, convert one of these next 3. You have 1 more shot to qualify. The pressure is on. We heard how much it meant to Immortals when he lost those first 2 games. They were in tears. They were emotionally broken. It all comes down to this. The road has led to this point. FlipSid, are they really going to pull the trigger with aggressive B play? Shara flirting with the idea. He's going to come down. He may very well give his life away. He's down to 24. That trade firmly going the way of Immortals.
Yeah, this time around again, they're FlipSid just working that dark halls, but also they have 2 players this time in alley. It's going to be a trade-off kills to make it a 4-on-4 situation. Shara also real low on HP, obviously, from trying to push the lower tunnel, or the tunnel rather, the lower slope into the inner bomb site. Not working out. But at least now there's a 4-on-4 situation. That always favors the T side. Means there's going to be a gap somewhere on the map.
That's true, but when you look at FlipSid, the losses they've had Markelov, who's been their talisman, and Shara's low. So there are a couple of exits for Immortals, or potential opportunities. But they are stacking the bulk of their defense over on A, and it's going to be the lead play. Showtime, he's using a different angle. Oh, 1 kill comes down, gets headshotted through the wall. Bombs planted. Henny, Lucas, you're going to have to retake the site in a 2-on-3 with 0 grenades. They've got an AWP, they've got an M4. Can they save themselves? If they don't, they will be eliminated. Molly comes up, that's going to funnel Henny away from pushing in just yet. The first kill should be coming down from Lucas, but he's actually missed it. Henny with a beautiful flick shot, but can he get 2 more? They don't have a Molly either, they can't bounce it off the door from FlipSide's perspective, and Henny has got a defuse kit. Just play this smart, FlipSide, and it should be yours. The smoke is down. It's going to draw out 1 player. He's landed it, but Blade from upper is going to secure FlipSide for a bit longer. Immortals bite the dust. They will not be going to Cologne.
Yet again, it happens to them. I mean, they have been showing so much promise as of recent, but it seems like they're making their way to the major. It's just not happening. At the same time, FlipSide, I mean, they are a mainstay of the majors, and now they will get that one more chance to get the 3rd win to make their way to Cologne.
They'll be playing later this evening in one of our 3 scheduled matches. It obviously hasn't been confirmed yet because we're still waiting for the other results from the rest of the day, but all we know is Immortals will be heartbroken. 1 for 3, their stats at the qualifiers. They did lose to some pretty strong teams, but at the end it was FlipSide that proved to be too much.
Yeah, it just feels to me like they can't, like their emotional Counter-Strike just takes it better than them. It's too much to handle for them. Like, this means a little bit too much to them, maybe even, you could say, in a sense where it becomes a hindrance that they're so emotional.
It's that key word that I think Renegades may struggle with a little bit, composure. In those kind of scenarios where so much is on the line, just being able to almost shut yourself down emotionally to an extent can certainly prove to be a worthwhile endeavor. But commiserations to Immortals, they had some pretty solid rounds on train, but ultimately FlipSide were just too good, and I would say Markelov was too good.
Yeah, and I mean, throughout the second half, it actually seemed, for the better part, in my opinion, that it was just a matter of time before FlipSide managed to get the 16th round, because they managed to build themselves a situation that was in their advantage by a great mile, but then there was always an individual coming into play from Immortals to save the day. Well, up until a certain point, obviously, before FlipSide managed to run away with it.
And once again, we see the power of a pause. FlipSide is starting to definitely struggle on their T half. It was 8-1 at one point, but that's enough from us, Natu. Let's head down to the stage with Mitch, who has an interview lined up.
That I do indeed. I'm standing here next to a triumphant Blade. He knows it was a tough game to win, and they did, and he also knows that they're not quite done yet. Blade, talk to me a little bit about how you felt that your performance personally has been over the course of this weekend, because we've seen you be definitely very, very impactful alongside the rest of your team. I know you might not always want to talk about yourself here, but we've seen you being creating a lot of opportunities over the last few days for your team to get those rounds.
Well, I always try my best, but my first priority, of course, is to lead the team in the game. When I have some time to focus on my own game, like I see that something like goes wrong, and I need to step up. I'm trying to do that, but it's, you know, it's like always different. Someday you have a lot of like thoughts in your mind and you can focus, but today it was a little bit easier for me. But still, I need to control like the movement of the opponent and so on and so on. But I tried my best.
You've got a lot on your plate as well, of course, in that position. So you've been doing a great job managing all of that at this stage. Now you're one step away from the major. Okay, no one's getting ahead of ourselves here at the moment. But how much does it mean to you to be back in another major, to have a second shot at redemption on the big stage of the major?
Well, it means a lot, but the main problem that we play like really bad last 2 maps versus FaZe and Optic. I don't know what happened, but it was not our game, it wasn't our team. We were doing like really stupid things. Well, now I think this win will help us to refocus and to realize that we still have a good chance, and teams are not so strong that it was before, and we'll do like, I don't know, all that we're capable of. We will do everything we can to win this match.
Fantastic. I mean, we saw a much improved train from you guys as well. So your fans, there's a Ukrainian flag in the crowd as well. So there's a lot of people behind FlipSide as a team here as well. They're happy to see that, and so are we. Thank you so much for joining me, Blade, and good luck with your next match, of course. A very important one for them. They go 2-2, 1 game away from making the major. We'll be able to see them later on in the day as they go up against the other 2-2 teams. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's pass to the experts and let them dissect this one a little bit here as well. It is FlipSide turning it around and showing us an excellent train over yesterday.
FlipSid trying to make it 8. It's a big step in the right direction, and of course commiserations to the Brazilian side. We actually came into this acknowledging that FlipSid were the favorites, and they did demonstrate as to why. Markelov, where was that yesterday? I mean, that was night and day for an individual performance. But let's just focus on FlipSid as a whole and where those rounds came from.
Well, obviously, much improved CT side.
Pretty much so. CT side, what, 11-4 on the half? Yeah. So, yeah, most of it's CT side.
Completely different world from what they showed us versus Optic. And initially, they didn't go directly to that double op setup, allow them to stabilize their economy somewhat. Obviously, we saw more aggression coming out from the team. We saw basically, cooperation between the players actually pushing towards connector, Waylander playing very aggressive and popping. Of course, I think the big star of that CT side was Markelov turning back the clock.
You were quite critical of that double AWP setup initially. What made you so uncomfortable about seeing World Edit and Markelov going for it?
Well, basically, if you're not hitting your shots, which they weren't in the first game they played Train, it's such a big hit on your economy that you're basically limiting yourself to one buy round for each third round. And obviously, with how impactful the CT set can be on Train, you don't want to do that. You put yourself in a really bad position to basically have an uphill struggle the entire T half, which is not great. This time around, they waited a tiny bit longer before they went into it, and they actually hit their shots this time around. World Edit didn't have to have the massive impact that I initially said that he had to have. Because Markelov took that job off of him. He completely dominated Henny and pretty much everyone else on the Immortals side, on that CT side. So it's, well, obviously, when the double op setup works, it's really hard to work against, but if it doesn't, it can be your downfall completely because it's so expensive.
And then to look to the other side of things for me as well was the fact that Henny on that first half was completely and utterly missing. In the second half, he started to actually show a little bit more performance, but very absent. And going back to the original point that you made at the start of this, was Shara actually quite solid at holding B. He didn't quite give it up. Of course, Markelov on the retake in the first couple of pistol rounds was disgustingly brilliant to watch. But yeah, a little bit of a shame for the Brazilians. They're having such a rough start to things, and of course, FlipSid having a great performance in comparison to their previous issues on those previous times on Train.
Immortals not making the major, it would be rude not to highlight them and their absence in the major as well. I mean, a lot of people were expecting big things from these guys. In fact, in the pre-show, rewind forward 3 days ago, we sat there and we said these are one of the probably 3 teams that we expect to be almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just have to highlight as well, everyone goes on about it's a great team, that they're an emotional team, that they're fired up, and it is, but it does have its downsides. Emotional players are the ones who have the highest highs and the lowest lows as well. So for those guys, if you go into a second half and you're already looking a bit shoddy, it's very hard to recover. So again, a bit of an unfortunate event for them, but so much potential in that lineup still.
And indeed, this will be one of the instances of the lowest lows. That's it. That's the end of the road for Immortals. They'll be sitting back and watching as the rest of the teams battle for a spot at the major, as they will not be joining Luminosity, their Brazilian brothers, over in Cologne next month. Our next game is going to be kicking it off with a bang as well. Hellraisers versus Optic. It's still representing the Americas, this time up north. It's going to be Optic versus Hellraisers, and that's coming up after the break.